Do-hyun wiped down the glass table for the third time that evening. The surface gleamed under the soft blue lights of the Starlight Lounge, reflecting the stars visible through the massive viewing windows. He could see dozens of different species scattered throughout the bar, their strange forms and colors still fascinating even after 6 months of working here. Table 7 needs another round, Taeyong called out as he passed by with a tray of drinks. His friend looked tired, dark circles under his eyes. They both worked double shifts most days, sending money back to Earth where their families waited. Do-hyun nodded and headed toward the kitchen. Station Harmony was one of the biggest meeting points in the galaxy, a place where hundreds of alien species came to trade, talk, and drink. The Starlight Lounge sat on the upper levels, catering to wealthy visitors who could afford the expensive view and even more expensive drinks. He didn't mind the work. It was honest and paid well by Earth standards. Humans were still new to the galactic community, barely 3 years since first contact. Most aliens saw them as cute primitives, harmless creatures from a backward planet. Do-hyun found it funny sometimes, but mostly he just wanted to do his job and go home. The evening rush was picking up when the group arrived. Do-hyun noticed them immediately because of the noise. 5 aliens, tall and elegant with skin that shimmered like oil on water. Their laughter rang through the lounge, musical and bright. The lead alien wore expensive jewelry that caught the light with every movement. "Excuse me, human," one of them called out, snapping her fingers. "We need a table." "Your best one." Do-hyun approached with a smile. "Of course. Right this way." He led them to a curved booth near the window. The lead alien, clearly the most important of the group, slid into the center seat. She was beautiful by any standard, with large golden eyes and a graceful neck. Her clothes looked like they cost more than Do-hyun made in a year. "I am Reena," she announced as if he should know the name. "Bring us your finest Quellan wine. 3 bottles to start?" Do-hyun bowed slightly. "Right away." As the night went on, Reena and her friends grew louder. They drank bottle after bottle of the expensive wine, their movements becoming loose and wild. Other patrons began to stare, but no one said anything. Reena's jewelry marked her as royalty from somewhere important. Do-hyun brought them their 5th bottle around midnight. Reena grabbed his wrist as he set it down, her grip surprisingly strong. "Human," she said, her words slightly slurred. "Do you know who I am?" "Yes, miss." "You told me your name is Reena." She laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Just Reena? Not Princess Reena of the Velthara Empire? Not the daughter of Empress Soren the Eternal?" "I apologize, Your Highness." Do-hyun tried to pull his wrist free gently. "I didn't know." "Of course you didn't." She pulled him closer, studying his face. "You humans are so new, so ignorant. Do you know I'm getting married next month? To a man I've never loved. To seal an alliance my mother wants." Her friends tried to calm her down, speaking in their musical language. Reena ignored them, her golden eyes fixed on Do-hyun's face. "You're different from the others," she said. "Your eyes. They've seen things." "I need to serve other tables," Do-hyun said quietly. Reena stood up suddenly, swaying on her feet. She was taller than him by at least a foot. "Dance with me, human." "I can't, Your Highness. I'm working. I command it." She grabbed the front of his shirt with both hands. Do-hyun tried to step back, but her grip was too tight. The fabric of his uniform shirt was thin, designed to look elegant rather than be durable. He heard the rip before he felt it. The shirt tore open from collar to waist, buttons scattering across the floor. The lounge went silent. Do-hyun stood there, his chest exposed. His skin told a story written in scar tissue. A long burn mark ran from his left shoulder to his right hip. The skin puckered and discolored. Across his ribs, surgical scars formed a ladder of white lines. On his abdomen, a starburst pattern marked where shrapnel had torn through him years ago. Smaller scars dotted his arms and chest, each one a memory of survival. Reena stared at his torso. Her golden eyes went wide, the drunken haze clearing from them in an instant. Her hands began to shake. "No," she whispered. "It can't be." One of her friends stood up. "Reena, what's wrong?" The princess ignored her. She reached out with one trembling finger and traced the burn scar across Do-hyun's chest. Her touch was feather-light. "The pattern," she breathed. "The marks of survival. The proof of endurance through impossible odds." Do-hyun grabbed his torn shirt, trying to cover himself. "It's just scars." "Everyone has scars. Not like these." Reena's voice had changed completely. Gone was the playful drunk. In her place stood someone else, someone who looked at him with awe and something close to fear. "These scars. They matched the ancient texts, the descriptions from the old temples. She dropped to her knees. The movement was so sudden that Do-hyun stepped back in shock. A princess, daughter of an empress, kneeling on the floor of a bar. Around them, other aliens gasped. Some stood up from their tables. A few began to kneel as well, though they looked confused about why. "Your Highness, please get up," Do-hyun said, reaching down to help her. "You're drunk. You don't know what you're doing." Reena looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. "I know exactly what I'm doing. My grandmother told me stories. I thought they were just legends. Myths to scare children and teach them about strength." "What are you talking about?" She spoke in a language Do-hyun didn't recognize, the words ancient and heavy with meaning. Then she translated, her voice shaking. "The covenant bearer, the one who carries the marks of 1,000 deaths, survived. The proof that the Death World survivors were real." Taeyong appeared at Do-hyun's side holding a jacket. "Put this on," he whispered urgently. "Security is coming." Do-hyun shrugged into the jacket, his mind spinning. He didn't understand what was happening. Reena remained on her knees, her friends trying to pull her up. She resisted them, her eyes never leaving his face. "You don't know what you are," she said. "None of you know, but I do. I've been taught since childhood, and now I've seen the proof with my own eyes." Station security arrived, their universal translators barking orders. The head guard, a massive creature with 4 arms, pointed at Do-hyun. "Step away from the princess." Do-hyun raised his hands. "I didn't do anything." "She tore my shirt, liar," one of Reena's friends shouted. "He attacked her." "We all saw it." Reena finally stood, wiping her face. "No, you saw nothing. This human has done nothing wrong. In fact, he has done something miraculous without even knowing it." The security guard looked confused. "Your Highness, please come with us. We'll sort this out at the office." "You don't understand," Reena said. She turned to face the crowd that had gathered. "None of you understand what we've just witnessed." She pointed at Do-hyun. "This human is proof that the legends are true. That somewhere in this galaxy, there exists a species so resilient, so impossibly strong, that they survive where all others would die. Look at him. Look at the marks on his skin." Do-hyun felt hundreds of eyes on him. He pulled the jacket tighter, wanting nothing more than to disappear. "I need everyone to remain calm," the security guard said. "Princess Reena, please come with me. The human, too. We'll discuss this in private." As they led him away, Do-hyun caught Taeyong's worried look. His friend mouthed something that looked like good luck. Behind them, the crowd buzzed with conversation. 100 different species trying to understand what they had just seen. Reena walked beside him, no longer stumbling or slurred. She kept glancing at him like he was something precious and terrifying all at once. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm sorry for what comes next. Your life will never be simple again." The security office was cold and sterile. Do-hyun sat in a chair that was too large for him, designed for species bigger than humans. The jacket Taeyong gave him barely covered the torn shirt underneath. He could still feel where Reena had touched his scars, like her finger had left a mark. Reena sat across from him, flanked by 2 of her friends. She looked completely sober now, her golden eyes sharp and focused. The security guard stood between them, his 4 arms crossed. "Let me understand this correctly," the guard said. "Princess Reena, you grabbed this human's shirt and tore it?" "Yes," Reena said calmly. "And then you knelt before him?" "Yes." The guard looked at his datapad, clearly confused. "May I ask why?" "Because I recognized what he is." Do-hyun spoke up. "I'm just a waiter. I work at the lounge. I send money home to my family on Earth, that's all." Reena turned to him. "That's not all. You don't understand yet, but you will." She looked at the guard. "I need to speak with him alone." "That's not possible, Your Highness. There are protocols." "I don't care about protocols." Reena's voice had the sharp edge of command in it. "This is a matter of galactic importance. What I saw tonight, what this human carries on his body, it changes everything." One of her friends touched her shoulder. "Reena, you're not making sense. He's just a human. They're a new species, barely space-worthy." "That's what we've all thought." Reena stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the station stretched into the darkness of space, lit by thousands of windows. "But we were wrong. The humans aren't new. They're the oldest." Do-hyun felt a chill run down his spine. "What are you talking about?" Reena was quiet for a long moment. Then she began to speak, her voice soft. "When I was a child, my grandmother would tell me stories. She was the royal historian, keeper of our oldest records. She had access to texts that dated back 50,000 years, maybe more. Reena turned from the window. One story she told me again and again. The legend of the Covenant Bearers. The security guard shifted uncomfortably. Those are just stories, Your Highness. Children's tales. That's what I thought too, until tonight. Reena walked back to her chair but didn't sit. The legend says that long ago, before any of our current empires existed, the galaxy faced extinction. A plague that killed everything it touched. Entire species wiped out in days. Planets left barren. The survival rate was less than 1%. Do-Yun listened, not understanding why she was telling him this. But one species survived, Reena continued. A species from a planet so harsh, so deadly, that they had already adapted to survive anything. The legend calls it a death world, a place where everything tries to kill you from the moment you're born. Sounds like Earth, Do-Hyun said quietly, thinking of the resource wars, the floods, the endless struggle. Reena's eyes locked onto his. Exactly like Earth. The legend says these survivors, these covenant bearers, saved the galaxy. They shared their knowledge, their medicine, their incredible ability to adapt, and then they disappeared. Most scholars thought they died out, or that they never existed at all. She walked closer to him, but the legend describes them. And one detail was always consistent across every text, every tablet, every ancient record. These survivors bore marks on their bodies, scars from the impossible things they had endured, burns that should have killed them, wounds that would have ended any other species. But they survived, and their bodies remembered. Do-Hyun looked down at his hands. The scars there were smaller but no less numerous. I was a soldier when I was 15, Earth's resource wars. My city needed everyone who could hold a weapon. I survived when my unit didn't. How? Reena asked. I don't know. Luck, maybe. Or I was just too stubborn to die. He pulled the jacket tighter. After the war, I worked rescue during the Mumbai flood. Building collapsed on me. Crushed my ribs. They put me back together with surgery and hope. Reena knelt in front of him, her eyes level with his. Don't you see? These aren't just injuries. They're proof. The burn pattern on your chest. It's not random. It follows the exact description from texts written before your species even learned to make fire. The surgical scars, the way they healed, the placement of every mark. It's like your body is following a template written into your DNA. That's impossible, the security guard said. Species don't work that way. Death World species do, Reena stood up. I need access to the Royal Archives. I need to show him the texts. He needs to see what I'm talking about. One of her friends stepped forward. Reena, even if you're right, this is dangerous. If word gets out that humans might be the legendary covenant bearers, it will cause panic. Some species will worship them. Others will want them destroyed. I know, Mion. Reena turned to her friend. But we can't ignore this. The evidence is right in front of us. Do-Yun stood up. Can someone please explain this in simple terms? You're saying my scars match some ancient legend? That's it? It's more than that, Reena said. The covenant bearers made a promise. They swore that if the galaxy ever faced extinction again, their children would return. That they would help. That they would save us. She touched his arm gently. You're their children. Humans are the descendants of the species that saved the galaxy 50,000 years ago. That's crazy, Do-Yun said. We're not special. We're just trying to survive like everyone else. That's exactly what makes you special. Reena smiled sadly. Every other species in this galaxy evolved on safe worlds. Gentle worlds. We face challenges, yes, but nothing like what Earth throws at you. Super volcanoes, ice ages, predators that hunt you, diseases that kill millions, and yet you keep surviving. You keep adapting. You keep helping each other. The guard's datapad beeped. He looked at it and frowned. I'm getting reports from the lounge. Apparently, several species recognize the princess's words. They're demanding answers. Some are calling for the human to be examined. Others are saying he should be protected. It's already starting, Mion said quietly. Reena pulled out her own datapad and began typing rapidly. I'm sending a message to my mother. She needs to know. The Galactic Council needs to know. Wait, Do-Hyun said. Can we slow down? I came to work tonight expecting to serve drinks and go home. Now you're telling me I'm part of some ancient prophecy. I know it's overwhelming. Reena's voice was kind. But think about your planet. Think about your people. How many times has humanity almost gone extinct? How many times have you pulled back from the edge? Do-hyun thought about the history lessons he'd had as a child. The Toba supervolcano that reduced humanity to a few thousand people, the Black Death, the close calls with nuclear weapons, climate change, the resource wars. Every generation seemed to face something that should have ended them. "We survive," he said simply. "That's what we do. Yes, because you come from a death world, because survival is written into every cell of your body." Reena showed him her datapad. On the screen was an image of an ancient stone carving. It showed a humanoid figure covered in marks and scars. The burn pattern across its chest looked eerily similar to Do-hyun's. "This carving is 47,000 years old," Reena said, "found on a dead world on the other side of the galaxy. And it looks exactly like you." Do-hyun stared at the image. He wanted to deny it, wanted to say it was coincidence. But the pattern was too perfect, too exact. "What happens now?" he asked quietly. "Now we prove it," Reena said. "We show the galaxy that humans are who I think they are, and we hope they react well. And if they don't," Reena was quiet for a moment, "then we fight. The legend says the covenant bearers never back down from protecting others. If you're truly their children, neither will you." The guard's datapad beeped again. "Princess, I'm getting orders from Council security. They want both of you to report to the Council chambers tomorrow morning. This has been classified as a Code 7 incident." "What's Code 7? Do-hyun asked. "Potential galaxy-wide threat," the guard said. "It's the highest classification." Do-hyun laughed, the sound bitter. "I'm a threat? I'm a waiter. I make minimum wage. You're proof that the most dangerous species in galactic history still exists," Mion said quietly. "To some that's terrifying." Reena touched his shoulder. "I won't let them hurt you. I promise. You saved the galaxy once 50,000 years ago. We owe you protection." "I didn't save anything," Do-hyun said. "That was my ancestors. If they even existed, they existed. And they live on in you," Reena smiled. "In every human who refuses to give up. In every scar earned from survival. In every person who helps a stranger because it's the right thing to do." The security guard cleared his throat. "I need to hold you both here until morning. Council orders." "That's fine," Reena said. She looked at Do-hyun. "Get some rest. Tomorrow will be difficult." As they led him to a holding cell, Do-hyun thought about his scars. He'd always seen them as mistakes. Evidence of times he'd failed to protect himself. But Reena saw them differently. She saw proof of something greater. He lay down on the hard bench and closed his eyes. Outside, the galaxy spun on, not knowing that everything was about to change. That a simple waiter with a torn shirt had just reminded them of a legend they'd forgotten. And legends, once awakened, never go quietly back to sleep. The Galactic Council chamber was massive. Do-hyun stood in the center of a circular platform, surrounded by rising tiers of seats filled with hundreds of different species. He'd never seen so many aliens in one place. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange he couldn't tell which end was the head. Above him, holographic displays showed his face to everyone in the chamber. He felt exposed, like being on stage in front of the entire galaxy. Ambassador Jiwon stood beside him. She was a tired-looking woman in her 50s, Earth's representative to the Council. She'd barely spoken to him since security brought him to the chamber that morning. "Let me do the talking," she whispered. "Don't volunteer information. Don't get emotional. Just answer their questions simply." "I don't understand why I'm here," Do-hyun said. "I didn't do anything wrong." "You exist," Jiwon said quietly. Apparently that's enough. A gong sounded deep and resonant. The chamber fell silent. At the highest tier, a group of 5 aliens sat at a curved table. The Council leaders. The ones who made decisions for trillions of beings across thousands of worlds. The center figure stood. It was tall and thin, with skin like polished silver. When it spoke, its voice filled the chamber. "This emergency session is called to order. We are here to address the incident on Station Harmony involving Princess Reena of Velthara and the human known as Do-hyun." Do-hyun saw Reena sitting in the gallery. She looked different in formal clothing, regal and commanding. Her friend Mion sat beside her. Another council member stood. This one looked like a massive insect with multiple eyes and clicking mandibles. The princess has made serious claims. That this human is proof of an ancient legend. That his species descends from the mythical covenant bearers. "They're not mythical," Reena called out. "I've seen the proof with my own eyes." "Order," the silver alien said. "Princess, you'll have your chance to speak." A third council member stood. This one was shorter, covered in what looked like scales. When it spoke, its voice was cold. Before we discuss legends, let's address facts. This human assaulted a member of royal blood. That's not true, Do-hyun said. Ji-won squeezed his arm in warning. The scaled alien gestured to a holographic display. It showed footage from the lounge. Do-hyun watched himself serving Reena's table. Watched her grab his shirt. Watched the fabric tear. As you can see, the alien said, the human clearly attacked the princess. The footage shows the opposite, Ji-won said firmly. My colleague was defending himself from an intoxicated patron. He's lying. One of Reena's friends stood up in the gallery. We saw him grab her first. Reena turned to her friend, shock on her face. What are you doing? That's not what happened. The friend who Do-hyun didn't recognize from last night continued. The human was aggressive, threatening. When Princess Reena tried to calm him, he attacked. More voices joined in. Aliens Do-hyun had never seen before stood up, claiming they'd witnessed the attack. Their stories didn't match the footage, but they spoke with confidence. Do-hyun felt cold. Someone was lying, but why? Then another alien stood up. He was tall and elegant, dressed in expensive robes. Something about him reminded Do-hyun of politicians back on Earth, the kind who smiled while stabbing you in the back. Council members, the alien said smoothly. I am Chancellor Hyuk of the Korean Empire. I was not present at the incident, but I have serious concerns about what happened afterward. The Silver Council leader nodded. You may speak, Chancellor. Thank you. Hyuk walked down to the center platform, standing opposite Do-hyun. Princess Reena claims this human bears marks that match ancient texts. That his scars prove humans are dangerous Death World survivors. If this is true, it raises a troubling question. He turned to face the council. Should a species this dangerous be part of our community? Humans have been members for only 3 years. We know very little about them. And now we discover they might be the most resilient, most adaptable, most potentially violent species in the galaxy? Murmurs spread through the chamber. That's not what the legend says, Reena stood up. The Covenant bearers saved the galaxy. They were heroes, not villains. Legends change over time, Hyuk said. Stories get twisted. What if the truth is different? What if these Death World survivors were dangerous? What if they were driven from the galaxy for good reason? That's ridiculous, Reena said. Is it? Hyuk pulled up another holographic display. Let me show you something. This is Earth's history for the past 5,000 years. Images appeared in the air. Wars, destruction, cities burning, weapons that could destroy planets. Do-hyun watched his species' darkest moments played out for everyone to see. This is what humans do, Hyuk said. They fight, they kill. They barely avoided destroying themselves multiple times, and now they're here among us, spreading to other worlds. What happens when they bring their violence with them? Every species has a violent past, Ji-won said. Yours included, Chancellor. But we evolved past it. We found peace. Hyuk gestured to Do-hyun. Look at him. Covered in scars. A soldier at 15. How many did you kill in your resource wars, human? Do-hyun felt everyone's eyes on him. I don't know. I didn't keep count. How convenient, Hyuk said. I was protecting my city, Do-hyun said, his voice rising. My family. We didn't want to fight. We had to. And that's the problem. Hyuk turned back to the council. Humans always have a reason, always have an excuse. But the violence continues. I propose that Earth's membership be suspended. That humans be restricted to their own world until we can properly assess the threat they pose. The chamber erupted in noise. Some aliens shouted in agreement. Others argued against it. Do-hyun saw Reena trying to push her way down to the center platform, but guards held her back. Ji-won stepped forward. Council, I request the right to present evidence. The silver alien raised a hand and the chamber quieted. Proceed, Ambassador. Ji-won pulled up her own holographic display. You want to talk about Earth's history? Let's talk about it properly. Yes, humans have fought wars. Yes, we've made terrible mistakes. But let me show you what else we've done. New images appeared. Scientists working together across borders. Rescue workers pulling people from collapsed buildings. Strangers helping strangers during disasters. Humans forming chains to save people from floods, fires, and worse. The resource wars the Chancellor mentioned. They happened because of climate change. Our planet was dying and we fought over what remained. But you know what else happened? We rebuilt. We found solutions. We survived. Ji-won's voice grew stronger. And we did it together. She showed more images. Humans have survived the Toba supervolcano that reduced our population to a few thousand. We survived ice ages, pandemics that killed millions, and every time we came back stronger. Not because we're violent, but because we refuse to give up. Do-hyun watched the presentation with growing emotion. He'd never thought about it this way. Never connected all the pieces. You want to know about Do-hyun's scars? Ji-won gestured to him. Yes, some are from war, but others are from saving people. From pulling them out of flooded buildings when everyone else had given up. From going back into danger because someone might still be alive. She pulled up his medical records and Do-hyun felt his privacy shatter, but Ji-won continued. Broken ribs from holding up debris while rescuers evacuated children. Burns from pulling a family from a burning vehicle. These aren't the marks of a monster. They're the marks of someone who cares too much to walk away. The council chamber was silent now. You call us violent, Ji-won said, but look closer. Every war we fought has been for survival. Every scar we bear is from protecting others. Yes, we come from a death world. Yes, we're resilient. But that's not a threat. That's hope. She turned to face Hyuk. You're afraid of us because we're different. Because we don't give up even when we should. Because we keep surviving when others would die. But the galaxy needs that. It needs species who know how to endure. Who know how to adapt. Who know how to keep going when everything seems lost. Pretty words, Hyuk said. But words don't change facts. Humans are dangerous. So are you, a voice called out from the gallery. Taeyong stood up. Do-hyun's friend looked terrified but determined. Behind him other humans began to stand. Workers from the station. Maintenance crews, merchants, all of them exposing their arms, showing their own scars. We're all dangerous, Taeyong said, because we all survived impossible things. But that doesn't make us monsters. It makes us human, more voices joined in. Aliens who had worked with humans stood up, speaking about their experiences. A doctor who said a human nurse had worked 72 hours straight during a plague outbreak. A pilot who said a human mechanic had saved his life by fixing a critical system everyone else said was hopeless. Hyuk's expression darkened. This changes nothing. There's still a risk. Then test them, Reena called out. She'd finally broken through the guards and stood at the platform's edge. The legend speaks of trials, of proving grounds where the covenant bearers would demonstrate their worth. If such a place still exists, send Do-hyun there. Let him prove what humans are. The council members conferred quietly. Finally, the silver alien spoke. The Crucible still exists, on the moon of Tal Shara. It was built by the Ancient Ones as a test of worthiness. No species has completed it in 10,000 years. Then that's where he should go, Reena said, if Do-hyun completes the Crucible. The transport ship was small and cold. Do-hyun sat alone in the passenger bay, watching through the viewport as they approached Tal Shara. The moon looked dead, a gray ball of rock orbiting a darker planet. No lights, no cities, just ancient stone and silence. We'll be landing in 5 minutes, the pilot announced over the speaker. Do-hyun closed his eyes. He'd had 1 day to prepare. 1 day to learn what the Crucible was and what it would demand of him. Ji-won had given him everything she could find in Earth's databases, but it wasn't much. The Crucible was old, older than most civilizations, and it was designed to test beings the galaxy no longer believed existed. The ship shuddered as it entered the moon's thin atmosphere. Through the viewport, Do-hyun saw a structure rising from the barren landscape. It was massive, built from black stone that seemed to absorb light. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing faintly blue. They landed on a platform near the entrance. As Do-hyun stood up, the bay door opened. The air that rushed in was thin and cold, barely breathable. He'd been given a small device that would help him breathe, but Ji-won had warned him it wouldn't last through all 3 trials. Good luck, human, the pilot said. The species was one Do-hyun didn't recognize. You'll need it. Do-hyun stepped onto the platform. The transport immediately lifted off, leaving him alone. Above him, the stars were visible even though it wasn't quite night. The thin atmosphere let through too much light. Welcome to the Crucible. Do-hyun spun around. A hologram had appeared near the entrance, a figure that looked vaguely humanoid but made of light. I am the Keeper, it said. I have waited 51,000 years for one worthy to attempt the trials. Are you prepared? No, Do-hyun said honestly. But I'm here anyway. The Keeper tilted its head, studying him. You bear the marks. The evidence of survival through impossible odds. This gives you the right to enter, but rights and survival are different things. What are the trials? 3 tests that measure what matters most: endurance, intelligence, character. The keeper gestured to the entrance. Enter and begin, or leave and accept defeat. Do-hyun thought about Earth, about Taeyong and the other humans working on the station, about Ji-won's tired face when she'd explained what would happen if he failed. Earth would be isolated. Humans would be trapped on their own world, forever seen as a threat. He walked toward the entrance. The doors opened as he approached, revealing a corridor of black stone. The moment he stepped inside, they closed behind him with a sound like finality. The corridor led down into darkness. Do-hyun's breathing device provided some light, a small glow that showed only a few feet ahead. The temperature began to change. First hot, then cold, then hot again. His skin burned and froze in rapid succession. This was the first trial. Environmental survival. The corridor opened into a large chamber. Do-hyun stepped inside and immediately felt the difference. The temperature was extreme, far hotter than the corridor. The air shimmered with heat. On the far side of the chamber, he could see another door. He started walking. Each step was agony. The heat pressed down on him like a physical weight. His skin began to blister. The breathing device helped, but not enough. He could feel his lungs burning with each breath. Halfway across, his legs gave out. He fell to his knees on the stone floor. The heat was too much. He was going to die here. Then he thought about the resource wars, about marching through the desert with his unit, their supplies gone, their water nearly exhausted. He'd kept going then. He'd survived. Do-hyun stood up and kept walking. The door opened as he reached it, and he stumbled through into the next chamber. This one was freezing. Ice covered the walls. His sweat froze instantly on his skin. The temperature shift was so extreme that his body went into shock. He kept moving. There was no choice but to keep moving. The trial continued through chamber after chamber. Heat and cold, poison gas that made his eyes stream and his throat close, gravity that shifted from crushing weight to nearly nothing. Each chamber tested his body's ability to adapt and survive. In the final environmental chamber, Do-hyun collapsed. He couldn't go on. His body had reached its limit. Blood dripped from his nose. His vision was blurry. The door on the far side seemed impossibly far away. He thought about his scars, about what Reena had said, that they were evidence of survival, each one a time he should have died but didn't. He crawled. When his arms gave out, he used his elbows. When those failed, he dragged himself forward with his fingernails. It took an hour to cross the chamber. Maybe more. Time had stopped meaning anything. When he finally touched the far door, it opened. He fell through into a corridor that was normal temperature. Normal air. His body wanted to shut down, to rest, but he forced himself to stand. The first trial was done. 2 more remained. The second trial was worse in different ways. The corridor led to a chamber filled with puzzles. Holographic displays showed complex problems, mathematics, logic, pattern recognition. Under normal circumstances, they would have been challenging but doable. But Do-hyun wasn't under normal circumstances. His body was broken. His mind was foggy from pain and exhaustion, and a timer was counting down on the wall. He had 1 hour to solve all the puzzles or the chamber would flood with gas. He focused on the first puzzle. Numbers and symbols that made no sense. His hands shook as he manipulated the holographic display. It took him 10 minutes to solve what should have taken 1. The second puzzle was harder, a maze that shifted as he tried to solve it. His vision kept blurring. He had to stop several times to vomit from the pain in his ribs. The third puzzle required him to remember a sequence of patterns shown in rapid succession. Do-hyun's memory was failing him. He got it wrong twice. The timer showed 30 minutes remaining. He thought about the Mumbai flood, about pulling people from collapsed buildings while water rose around him, about having to think clearly while everything was chaos. He'd learned then that panic kills, that the only way through was to slow down and focus. Do-hyun took a breath and started again, puzzle after puzzle. Some he solved through logic, others through guessing, a few through sheer luck. When the timer showed 1 minute remaining, he completed the final puzzle. The door opened. The gas never came. The third trial waited in the next chamber. This one was simple in design. Just a room with 2 doors. Between them, a holographic display showing images. On the left door, Earth appeared. Safe, secure. Humanity protected. On the right door, Reena appeared. She was trapped in a cage that was slowly closing. She would be crushed in minutes. The keeper's voice echoed through the chamber. Choose. Save your world or save the individual. Both doors cannot be opened. One choice locks the other forever. Do-Yun stared at the display. It wasn't real. It couldn't be. But his hand moved toward the left door anyway. Toward Earth. Toward billions of humans who needed him to succeed. He thought about what Reena had said. About the Covenant bearers. About how they'd save the galaxy not through violence but through caring about others. His hand moved to the right door. Wait, the keeper said. Understand what you're choosing. Your world's fate hangs in balance. Millions of your species need you. One alien life, even a princess, is not worth that cost. Yes, it is, Do-Yun said. Why? Because if we only save our own, we're not worth saving. Do-Yun touched the right door. The humans I know, the ones I've served with, worked with, bled with, they'd make the same choice. We don't leave people behind, even if it costs us everything. The door opened. Reena wasn't there. The cage was gone. Instead, both doors stood open now. The third trial measures character, the keeper said. The Covenant bearers understood that true strength lies not in survival alone, but in who you choose to save. You have passed. Do-Hyun walked through the right door into a final chamber. This one was beautiful, with windows showing the stars. In the center stood a pedestal with a small object on it, a crystal that glowed with soft blue light. Take it, the keeper said. It is proof that you completed the Crucible, that you are worthy of the title Covenant Bearer. Do-Hyun picked up the crystal. It was warm in his palm. 3 trials, the keeper said. Environmental survival. Intelligence under duress. Character when faced with impossible choices. You have passed all 3. The first to do so in 51,000 years. What happens now? Do-Hyun asked. Now you return to the Council, and you show them what humanity truly is. A door opened, leading to a landing platform where a ship waited. But as Do-Hyun walked toward it, the keeper spoke again. One warning, Covenant bearer. Not all will celebrate your success. Some will fear it. And fear makes people dangerous, Do-Hyun nodded. He already knew that. Had known it from the moment Hyuk smiled in the council chamber. The ship that waited wasn't the one that brought him. This one was larger, more official. And standing by the entrance was Reena. You're not supposed to be here, Do-Hyun said. I know. She smiled. But Mian helped me sneak away. I couldn't let you do this alone. I did do it alone, I know. And that's what makes it matter. She looked at the crystal in his hand. You passed. Yeah, then why don't you look happy? Do-Hyun thought about the keeper's warning. About Hyuk's smile. About how complicated everything had become. Because passing was the easy part, he said. What comes next will be harder. The ship's journey back to Station Harmony should have taken 2 days. They arrived to find chaos. What happened? Do-Hyun asked the pilot. Chancellor Hyuk happened, the pilot said grimly. He declared a state of emergency. Claims Princess Reena abandoned her duties and that humans influenced her. He's taken control of the Velthera Empire's council seat. Reena's face went pale. My mother, my family, safe, the pilot assured her, but under house arrest. Hyuk has support from several other empires. He's calling for an emergency vote to expel Earth from the council. When? Do-Hyun asked. In 3 hours. They docked at Station Harmony to find security everywhere. Armed guards checked every ship, every passenger. But they let Do-Hyun and Reena through when they saw the crystal he carried. The keeper sent a message ahead, a guard explained. Everyone knows you passed the trials. Some are calling you a hero, others are calling you a threat. Which are you? Do-Hyun asked. The guard, a species with 4 eyes and rough skin, looked at him carefully. My daughter was sick last year. Human doctors on the station saved her when everyone else said it was hopeless. They worked for 3 days straight. Didn't sleep. Didn't quit. The guard stepped aside. You're no threat. You're hope. They made their way through the station toward the council chambers. Crowds had gathered in the corridors. Aliens of every species, arguing, shouting, some fighting. Station security was overwhelmed. Taeyong found them near the lower levels. He had a black eye and his uniform was torn. What happened to you? Do-Hyun asked. Riot started yesterday. Some aliens attacked human workers. Said we were dangerous. Others defended us. Taeyong grabbed Do-Hyun's shoulder. You have to stop this. Show them the crystal. Prove we belong here. I'm trying, Do-Hyun said. Try harder. Taeyong's voice broke. 3 humans died yesterday. beaten to death by a mob. They were just workers, just people trying to live their lives. Do-hyun felt cold rage building in his chest. Where's Ji-won? Council chambers. She's been trying to delay the vote, but Hyuk has the support. Earth is going to be expelled. They reached the chambers to find them surrounded by guards, but Mi-yeon was waiting by a side entrance. Thank the stars you're here, she said. Reena, your mother sent a message. Hyuk has fabricated evidence that you and Do-hyun planned the Crucible trial together, that you're both working to undermine the council. That's insane, Reena said. I know. But he has witnesses, forged documents, everything needed to make the lie seem real. Mi-yeon looked at Do-hyun. He's going to use your success against you, claim that humans are so dangerous they can manipulate ancient trials. We need to get inside, Do-hyun said. I can get you in through the maintenance corridors, Mi-yeon said. But you'll only have minutes before security finds you. They followed her through narrow passages meant for station workers. The sounds of the council session echoed through the walls. Hyuk's voice was clear, smooth, and convincing. The evidence is clear, he was saying. Humans are dangerous. This so-called trial proves nothing except that they're good at surviving. But surviving doesn't mean worthy. It doesn't mean safe. They emerged into a storage room near the main chamber. Through a window, Do-hyun could see the council members voting. One by one, lights appeared on the board. Red for expulsion, green for acceptance. Red was winning. We're too late, Reena whispered. Do-hyun looked at the crystal in his hand. It was still glowing, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. He thought about the trials. About crawling across that chamber when his body had nothing left. About choosing to save one life over millions. No, he said. We're exactly on time. He pushed open the doors and walked into the council chamber. The effect was immediate. Conversation stopped. Voting paused. Every eye turned to him. Hyuk stood at the central podium. His expression flickered from shock to anger before settling on false concern. Guards, he called out. Remove this human. He has no right to be here. He has every right. Reena walked in behind Do-hyun. He carries the proof of the Crucible. That gives him the right to address this council. The Silver Council leader stood. Is that the crystal? Do-hyun held it up. The light it gave off filled the chamber brighter than before. Symbols appeared in the glow. Ancient writing that made some of the older aliens gasp. It is genuine, an elderly alien in the gallery said. I've studied the texts. Those symbols. They're from the time of the Covenant bearers. Lies, Hyuk said. Tricks human technology made to fool us. Human technology? Ji-won stood up from her seat. We've been in space for 3 years. We barely have ships that can reach other stars. You think we can fake ancient artifacts that predate our entire civilization? Murmurs spread through the chamber. Do-hyun walked to the center platform. His body still ached from the trials. Blood had soaked through his shirt from where his wounds had reopened. But he stood straight. I'm not a hero, he said. I'm not special. I'm just a waiter who wanted to send money home to his family. But you've made me into something else. A symbol, a threat, a legend. He looked around the chamber. I passed your trial. I survived chambers that should have killed me. I solved puzzles while my body was breaking. And I chose to save one life over the safety of my entire species. Which proves you're foolish, Hyuk said. Proves humans make emotional decisions without logic. No. An alien stood up in the gallery. One Do-hyun recognized from the Starlight Lounge. It proves they have honor. I've watched humans work on this station for 3 years. I've seen them help species they barely know. Share food when they have little, risk themselves for strangers. Another alien stood. My ship broke down in deep space. A human cargo vessel found us. They gave us their emergency supplies even though it meant they'd barely have enough for themselves. That's who they are, more voices joined in. Stories of humans helping, healing, building, protecting. Taeyong entered the chamber with dozens of other humans. Each one bore visible scars. They lined up behind Do-hyun, silent witnesses to survival. You want to expel us? Do-hyun said. Fine, do it. Send us back to Earth. Lock us away from the galaxy. But understand what you're choosing. He placed the crystal on the podium. 50,000 years ago, species like us saved this galaxy. We shared what we knew. We helped others survive. And then we disappeared. You forgot us, turned us into myths, but we never forgot the lesson. Do-hyun's voice grew stronger. We come from a death world, yes. We survive things that would kill most species, yes, but that's not what makes us special. What makes us special is that we use that strength to protect others. Every scar on my body came from trying to help someone. Every human behind me has similar stories. Pretty words, Hyuk said. But words don't change facts. You're right, Reena said. She walked to stand beside Do-hyun. So let's talk facts. Hyuk has been manipulating this council. He fabricated evidence. He paid witnesses to lie. He staged riots to make humans look dangerous. You have no proof, Hyuk said. I do. Mion stepped into the chamber holding a datapad. I've been investigating. Hyuk's financial records show payments to the aliens who attacked human workers. Messages planning the riots, everything. She transmitted the data to the council's displays. Evidence scrolled across holographic screens. Financial transfers, messages. Plans laid out in detail. Hyuk's face twisted with rage. You're all fools. Can't you see what's happening? These humans will take over. They'll spread across the galaxy like a plague. Their death world nature will corrupt everything. No, Do-hyun said quietly. We'll do what we've always done, survive, help, build, together. The voting board lit up again. But this time green lights dominated. One by one, council members voted to keep Earth as a member. To reject Hyuk's proposal, the Silver Council leader stood. The vote is clear. Earth remains a member of the Galactic Council. Furthermore, we acknowledge humanity as the inheritors of the Covenant-bearer legacy. Cheers erupted from parts of the gallery, but Do-hyun saw anger on other faces. This wasn't over. It would never be completely over. There would always be those who feared what humans represented. But that was okay. Fear could be overcome. Trust had to be earned. Guards moved to arrest Hyuk. He struggled, shouting about injustice, about human influence. They led him away as his voice faded. Reena turned to Do-hyun. You did it. We did it, he corrected. All of us, the council leader approached. Do-hyun of Earth, the council recognizes your achievement. We also recognize that humanity has much to teach us. We would like to establish a training program where humans can share their knowledge of survival and resilience with other species. I'm not a teacher, Do-hyun said. I'm a waiter. Then teach us how to serve, the council leader said. How to help. How to endure. These are lessons the galaxy needs. Ji-won put her hand on Do-hyun's shoulder. It's a good offer. Earth could use the goodwill. And the funding. Do-hyun thought about it. About going back to the Starlight Lounge. About serving drinks and wiping tables. It sounded peaceful, simple. But he looked at Taeyong and the other humans. At the scars they bore. At the stories written on their skin. Okay, he said. But I have one condition. I keep my job at the lounge. I work my shifts. I send money home. The teaching happens on my off days. The council leader looked surprised. You would continue to be a waiter? It's honest work, Do-hyun said. And someone has to serve the drinks, Reena laughed. It was a bright, clear sound that cut through the tension.